Public Radio, Expo Campaign Special 2023. I'm that nerdy Papa Bear Ron. Below me, we've got my co-mega mutant Keegan. To his, I guess, to the viewer, it'll be on his right. We've got the Broken Record Owen.
Back again.
Continuing around the circle, we've got Joe of X.
I've returned to these broken lands.
And up top, Shay Baring.
Hiya.
And we're here to talk about the X vote finally getting revealed after over a month since it was first announced. If you are just getting here, our 5 contenders introduced in the X-Men number 12 from July 1965, The Juggernaut. Introduced in the Uncanny X-Men 130 in February of 1980, Dazzler. Introduced in Marvel graphic novel number 4 in September of 1982, Cannonball. Introduced in X-Factor number 4 in May of 1986, Frenzy. Jubilee. Introduced in Uncanny X-Men number 244, May of 1989, and the baby of the group, New Mutants, volume number 2, number 4, September of 2003, Prodigy. Quickly, Juggernaut, Dazzler, Cannonball, Frenzy, Jubilee, Prodigy. I'm giving our entire Great Ring, a couple people are missing, but I offer the opportunity to come on and make their pitch for who you should vote for as the audience. Anybody brave enough to go first?
I'll go first.
Hit us with it, Owen.
So, in this X vote, I voted for Juggernaut, and I think you should too. Juggernaut isn't a mutant. However, Juggernaut has long been a villain and enemy of the mutants, and I feel like having him on this team could invoke a lot of old rivalries, a lot of old relationships. But in recent years, Juggernaut's been a pretty good guy. Hasn't really done anything too evil. So this could also further explore his growing heroic side and maybe even make him full hero.
Golf claps for everybody. So it looks like equal representation. Let's just go around the circle. Joe, you're up next.
I seek to answer the question that has perplexed scholars for generations. Does a mall baby eat chili fries? Jubilation Lee was supposed to be the Kitty Pryde of her era. She saves Wolverine from the Reavers. She fights the Skrulls. She's the one who discovers that Professor X is a Skrull in the blue and gold team era. She fights, she helps defeat Cameron Hodge in the Extinction Agenda. She is in the 92 X-Men cartoon. She's supposed to be on that level of iconic. She's supposed to be that era's Kitty Pryde. But instead, they took her as a popular character in 1994 and they put her on Generation X to launch that book and immediately make her a side character. And that move pushed her into the C-list forever. She got M-dated, she got her powers taken away. And she was a vampire, which wasn't as bad as I originally thought when you go back and read it. But she wasn't given a lot to do. While Kate Pryde got to be the leader of an X-Men, she gets to be pirate, she gets to go into space, and poor Jubilee doesn't get much of anything at all. So I'm here to campaign for Jubilation Lee. A vote for Jubilee is a vote for restorative justice.
I mean, that's a solid pitch.
Yeah.
That is a very solid pitch. Golf claps. I will say, I have to interject a little and say, as a young millennial, I feel like my generation recognizes Jubilee more than Kitty Pryde.
I
Like
have
because
to
of the
agree.
because of the cartoon. Like I
Mm-hmm.
went to like 100 of my friends more would recognize Jubilee than Kitty Pryde, I think.
Recognizes, but Kate Pride is on the goddamn Quiet Council.
I hear you.
Right? Like, and you know what I mean? And she gets a cool pirate outfit, and she gets to like do blow with Emma Frost. What does Jubilee get to do? She gets to hang out with
be
the baby.
besties with Laura.
I don't want
It's a
anyone to
cool
interpret
mall
that as me
outfit.
arguing with the pitch. I just was thinking as you were talking that I feel like the non-comic fans especially are all going to recognize our girl Jubilee.
I think it depends on the era of millennial, because 91 baby right here really sees Kitty Pryde as being more popular with my cohort because of X-Men Evolution in the movies.
This is fair. Yeah, I'm old enough. I'm pre-evolution, so maybe that's the defining line. I like it.
I'm older than all of you.
Shay, you are next for a pitch if you want to take us away.
You know what? This was a very hard decision for me because I really like a lot of the characters and they have a lot of interesting stories. You know, Cannonball, I'm a fellow Kentuckian, so we have that deep blue bond. You know, Dazzler is truly outrageous and Disco Never Dies. Jubilee is cool, but my vote has to go for Joanna Cargill, Frenzy, because I love drama and I think she can bring a light level of drama. Like, let's look back at her history. She was an X Factor villain, so... You know, some of her earliest appearances have her in opposition to Jean and Scott and the team, and assuming they're still on the X-Men, that could be some interesting drama, especially since Jean basically brainwashed Frenzy for a while to being an X-Men. I know we're in the era of forgiveness, and that's really good, but realistically, people are going to have complicated feelings about the misdeeds done to them, and that includes brainwashing. And you know, I really don't want to get into like the romance factor, but she did have that Age of X romance with Cyclops that she's apparently not over. And while I don't love triangles, you know, that could add some interesting factors to the dynamic, which, you know, if the writer of X-Men wants to have like interesting dives into characters, it could be good soapy drama. And what is the X-Men if not soapy drama persisting?
I have to say, I don't know that it's fair to the rest of this panel that we have someone that works in marketing on making a campaign speech. That was very good. Keegan, follow that.
In the tradition of American politics, instead of telling you why you should vote for my candidate, let me tell you why you shouldn't vote for the others. Juggernaut is doing great in Legion of X, and he should stay there. Cannonball bores me to tears. Jubilee and Dazzler need to be available for the Exterminators Ongoing by Leah Williams, and I'm going to manifest. Yeah. Frenzy's fine. We can have Frenzy as an option, but Prodigy is my choice. And here's why. I like Prodigy. I think the idea of a bisexual black man mutant is just really poised to be on the public-facing mutant team, saving people that hate everything that he is on 3 different levels, at least. Very interesting. Also, I think that Prodigy and Sync could have a grand old time with their power set together. Like I said, as a second place, I would say Frenzy, but I think the appeal of Frenzy is character work and X-Men.
I'll be honest, you just stole my thunder, Keegan, because I'll be honest, I do not have a horse in the race, but I have 3 horses I'm going to desperately ask you to not bet on.
Yeah.
Because, we need to keep our Exterminators as options for a sequel or ongoing. I've heard people say they don't think it's even a possibility. We were told the Exterminators will return. I'm living by that creed. And I will defend Legion of X to the death as a better book than it gets credit for, and leave Juggernaut there. The other 3, I'm okay with whatever. You all make great pitches. I will allow any of the other 3. Leave my Juggernaut and Cy Spurrier alone.
That's fair.
All right. Everybody got to make their pitch. Does anybody want to dispute anything anyone else said, or get into like a brawl?
This was a tough call, and my second runner-up is either Dazzler or the Juggernaut, because poor Juggernaut has had a life.
Yeah.
His his father was shitty to him and loved Charles more, and on his dying breath says this about, he says, beware of Cain, when like the kid's right fucking there. And then Charles and him go to the Korean War, and like Charles leaves him to die in a cave, right? He's like, oh, you shouldn't go in there, and he's like, fuck this, it's shelling, right? I'm gonna go hide in this cave. They find the gem of Sitherac, and Charles is just like, yeah, the cave fell in. That's
Did that
fine.
get
Just like,
updated with all the others that got updated to the made-up war, so they didn't have to deal with the timeline anymore?
the Sin Kong? I don't know. But the best part is like Charles didn't know he was the Juggernaut. Like, so he just like left him in the cave to die. He's like, well, fuck him. You know, like I never liked that guy anyway. And then moved a bunch of teenagers into his house. So like 10 years later, when the Juggernaut shows up to like come home because he's coming home from the Korean War, Charles like attacks him. Like he just like sets up a bunch of booby traps, and then like he's homeless and he has to commit to a life of crime. It's like this man cannot win. If only for the love of Black Tom Cassidy. He's
We know Professor X is a jerk. I will have to say, I do appreciate Prodigy. I have a soft spot for the Academy X kids, so him being on the X-Men would be a nice elevation for Academy X, which continually gets thrown on a bus and blown up. Every so often.
I'll be honest, I hadn't really thought about the love triangle aspect, though. Like, you might have won me over with that, Shay. Like,
I love soapy drama.
If I had to pick a second horse in this race, it would probably be Prodigy, but I do have a bit of a message to the X office, and
this is the armor.
If armor is not in this team, if armor is not in this team, there is no place you can hide that I won't find you.
You want to talk about restorative justice? Let's talk about armor.
That leads me to a couple questions, though. Will this book or this team be written by Dugan?
I hope not.
Yikes.
Y'all have listened to my podcast, how I feel about his writing, but you know, he might write it. He also might write Uncanny Avengers, so I don't know if we want him on 2-team books.
I don't think there's any way he's writing both.
No.
So it's more of we pick a poison.
I mean, that is my whole reasoning behind like Frenzy's character development potential of being on the X-Men. I was kind of like, it's not enough to pull me over, because if Dugan is writing it, like I like Dugan's sci-fi stuff, but yeah.
So here's the thing. Duggan has written a lot of things I like. I thought Kid Cable was good. I thought Marauders Volume 1 was very good.
Absolutely.
Dark Reign X-Men was like the best Emma Frost miniseries we've gotten in a very long time. It's the X-Men season 2 has been underwhelming, but I cannot think of anything that Steve Orlando has written that I've really gotten behind, right? There's bits of Steve Orlando stuff that I like, but it's not.
Have you read Midnighter, my friend?
I have not, actually.
Read Midnighter!
All right, well, fair.
I will say, I feel like that would be the ultimate monkey's paw. If we're sitting here saying, man, I hope Dugan leaves and he's replaced by Orlando, would be a very like curling of the paw situation.
Listen, don't you
Here's
talk
the thing,
about
I
the
think-
ultimate monkey's paw when you know what else is in that office.
We're not even going to fathom that possibility. The other question, is this the very last Krakoan X vote? Are we picking the final team before the fall of the island?
That's really hard. Like, I'm a firm believer that we're probably gonna sooner rather than later, especially with MCU synergy, which is why Jubilee is on the boat. Let's be real, and probably gonna win. We're gonna get a fractured Krakoa, some people at the school, and those will probably be the proper X-Men with something or another leading a Krakoan special ops international team of something.
I very, very much enjoy the implication from that statement that Jubilee is an industry plant.
Oh, that's fantastic.
She's the corporate champ.
I want nothing more than for it to not be the last X team for Krakoa. I worry that it might be.
My gut tells me part of the messaging of finally releasing this vote the same morning they release the Before the Fall one-shot like titles and covers and stuff was a hint to us that this isn't the end, because it seems weird to give us a brand new team right as you're killing something. So I'm hoping that's the messaging, but who knows?
Or it adds extra tragedy.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it
it's
could be either way.
It's before the fall books, not the fall books, right?
Right,
So
but there's
those are
one
coming-
shot,
Yeah.
so
Those are
it is
coming-
still setting it up. It's the
Those are coming in the summer, and then we get the new team in June. So, like, you expect the big event, the big cataclysm to happen at the Hellfire Gala,
It
because
will.
nothing tends to go right at those. I don't think they're ditching Krakoa yet. I don't think they're going to ditch Krakoa until they get Hickman back on the books.
I don't think they're ditching Krakoa because that's a lot of mutants to put in one school.
I went to public school in New York, so, like, no, I've seen it. Like,
Listen, I've seen my class sizes. It can work.
But I also would just want to see all these 40-year-olds like forced to have lockers and go to chemistry 101 and shit. That'd just be hilarious.
like
Right.
what class?
I do
is-
think Arako isn't going to be here forever. So Arako is probably just going to disappear, and I think Apocalypse and Genesis and Co are going to take it with them. But
Sorry, guys, time for a rebrand.
I
We
just
already have
wanna-
a temporary rerun, so
I just want to see what class that Boom Boom teaches. You know, like what? Like these
My
people
favorite
are
class.
she teaches
Right.
night school. Let's be honest, she teaches
Right.
night school.
driver's ed. You know what I mean? Like just and the terrible. I don't know, but I don't think. I think we're gonna keep getting Krakoa, and I think we're gonna keep getting this stuff. I think we're gonna get a bleak era, like right. We're gonna get like a year or two of like something really bleak, but we'll get back to the Krakoa because they're making money hand over fist with it, and
Well, it's-
creatively they're doing a
it's
good
the
job.
most popular
Yeah.
the franchise has been in decades, so it'd be a weird choice. But any parting words?
voting is important, y'all.
Register to vote.
Exercise your civic duty.
Thank you
If you
guys for
think this is
assembling them.
great,
Oh,
I
go
am
ahead, Joe.
I'm planning on taking Rod's $5 at the end of Sins of Sinister, and I would like you, the audience of Arakko Public Radio, to know that I am going to spend it on Benjamin Percy books.
That's
Look, let's be
old.
honest. The guy needs some cash, so I'm okay with it.